Hi, welcome to the quiz. This very quiz can be done on quizalto.com, where you'll be able to get instant feedback with detailed answers and explanations. The link is in the description below. Quizalto has an extensive library of quizzes you can take for free, and we also have an impressive number of premium quizzes for more advanced levels. As you take quizzes, Quizalto helps you track your progress over time. If our quizzes are not enough for you, you can even create your own quizzes using AI, and they don't even have to be about AWS products. Okay, let's get started. Good luck. How does AWS Fargate charge users? Per GB of storage. Per number of containers. Per vCPU and memory usage. Per hour of usage. AWS Fargate charges are based on the amount of vCPU and memory resources used by the containerized applications. Which AWS service can provide monitoring and alarms for Fargate tasks? Amazon SES, Amazon S3, Amazon CloudWatch, Amazon RDS. Amazon CloudWatch provides monitoring and alarms for Fargate tasks, offering insights into performance and operations. What is a key benefit of using AWS Fargate? Offers the cheapest cloud storage option. Provides unlimited storage. Ensures 100% uptime. Eliminates the need to manage server infrastructure. AWS Fargate abstracts away the need for managing the server infrastructure, letting users focus on their applications. How are tasks scheduled in AWS Fargate? Based on task definitions and resource availability. Randomly. Manually by the user. According to a fixed schedule. Tasks in AWS Fargate are scheduled based on task definitions and the availability of resources, ensuring efficient utilization of infrastructure. How does AWS Fargate integrate with AWS IAM? It provides its own separate user management. It only uses IAM for billing purposes. It does not integrate with IAM. It uses IAM roles to manage permissions. AWS Fargate uses IAM roles to manage permissions for accessing AWS services, ensuring secure access control. What is a key difference between AWS Fargate and AWS Lambda? Fargate is used for running containers, while Lambda is used for serverless functions. Fargate supports only Linux, while Lambda supports only Windows. Fargate is cheaper than Lambda for all workloads. Fargate is for long-running processes, while Lambda is for short-lived functions. AWS Fargate is designed for running containers, whereas AWS Lambda is used for executing serverless functions. Which feature is not provided by AWS Fargate? Direct access to the underlying host. Support for microservices architecture. Automatic scaling of containers. Integration with ECS and EKS. AWS Fargate does not provide direct access to the underlying host as it is fully managed. Which of the following is true about AWS Fargate's maintenance? It requires weekly downtime for maintenance. Maintenance is scheduled by the user. AWS handles the maintenance of the underlying infrastructure. Users need to maintain the underlying servers. AWS Fargate handles the maintenance of the underlying infrastructure, allowing users to focus on their applications. Which component is not required when using AWS Fargate with ECS? Task definitions. Container images. ECS clusters. EC2 instances. AWS Fargate eliminates the need for managing EC2 instances, as it handles the infrastructure provisioning. How does AWS Fargate ensure application availability? By offering redundant storage. By providing 24/7 support. By distributing tasks across multiple availability zones. By integrating with third-party backup solutions. AWS Fargate ensures application availability by distributing tasks across multiple availability zones, enhancing fault tolerance. Which AWS service helps monitor and log activities in Fargate tasks? Amazon Aurora. Amazon CloudWatch. Amazon CloudFront. Amazon S3. Amazon CloudWatch is used to monitor and log activities within Fargate tasks, providing insights into performance and operations. What is a common use case for AWS Fargate? Microservices architecture. Data warehousing. Long-term archival storage. Running legacy mainframe applications. A common use case for AWS Fargate is running applications based on a microservices architecture, as it simplifies container management. How does AWS Fargate help with scaling containerized applications? Requires manual intervention to scale. Provides unlimited scaling without configuration. Automatically scales based on defined policies. Does not support scaling. AWS Fargate can automatically scale containerized applications based on policies defined by the user, making it easier to handle variable workloads. Can you use AWS Fargate with Kubernetes? No, it only works with ECS. No, it does not support Kubernetes. Yes, through Amazon EKS. Yes, but only with a custom setup. AWS Fargate can be used with Kubernetes through Amazon EKS, providing a serverless environment for running Kubernetes pods. What is the primary purpose of AWS Fargate? Providing serverless functions. Managing large-scale databases. Storing unstructured data. Running containers without managing the underlying infrastructure. The primary purpose of AWS Fargate is to allow users to run containers without the need to manage the underlying infrastructure. What is the role of task definitions in AWS Fargate? To store container logs. To specify how to run a container. To manage user permissions. To handle network traffic. Task definitions in AWS Fargate specify how containers should run, including the image, resources, and other settings. What is AWS Fargate primarily used for? Running containers without managing servers. Running virtual machines. Storing large datasets. Hosting static websites. AWS Fargate allows users to run containers without having to manage the underlying infrastructure. What is required to launch a Fargate task? A predefined server. An EC2 instance. A static IP address. A task definition and an ECS cluster. To launch a Fargate task, you need a task definition and an ECS cluster to manage the tasks. What type of applications can benefit the most from AWS Fargate? Legacy desktop applications. Large monolithic applications. Static websites. Microservices-based and containerized applications. Microservices-based and containerized applications benefit the most from AWS Fargate as it simplifies infrastructure management. Which AWS service can be used to store container images for Fargate? Amazon RDS. Amazon S3. Amazon DynamoDB. Amazon ECR. Amazon ECR is used to store, manage, and deploy container images for AWS Fargate. Which type of storage can be used with AWS Fargate? Amazon Glacier. Amazon EFS. Amazon S3 only. Amazon RDS only. AWS Fargate can use Amazon EFS for persistent storage, supporting stateful applications. What is the primary advantage of using AWS Fargate for containerized applications? Dedicated server for each application. Free for the first year. Unlimited data storage. No need to manage infrastructure. The primary advantage of AWS Fargate is that it abstracts away the infrastructure management, allowing users to focus on their containerized applications. How does AWS Fargate integrate with CI/CD pipelines? By offering fixed deployment schedules. By providing built-in CI/CD tools. By allowing seamless deployment of containerized applications. By requiring manual updates to containers. AWS Fargate allows seamless deployment of containerized applications, integrating smoothly with CI/CD pipelines. How does AWS Fargate handle application updates? By automatically updating the application code. By redeploying updated container images. By restarting the underlying server. By applying patches to running containers. AWS Fargate handles application updates by redeploying updated container images, ensuring the latest version of the application is running. What is the main difference between AWS Fargate and traditional ECS? Fargate does not require managing EC2 instances. Fargate has a higher cost than ECS. Fargate requires more manual configuration. Fargate supports only Windows containers. The main difference is that AWS Fargate abstracts away the need to manage EC2 instances, whereas traditional ECS requires managing the underlying infrastructure. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and, if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.